I call this meeting to order on January 24th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Will the secretary please take roll?
Senator Abrigo,
Present.
Senator Blickhan,
Present.
Senator Burbach,
Present.
Senator Burnett,
Present.
Senator Byers,
Present.
Senator Chubukchu,
Present.
Senator Demuth,
Present.
Senator Francis,
Present.
Senator Ford,
Present.
Senator Gillis,
Present.
Senator Holzhauser,
Present.
Senator Obert,
Present.
Senator Richards,
Present.
Senator Shahan,
Present.
Senator Nichols,
Present.
President Odell,
Present.
Vice President Pruitt,
Present.
Trustee Walters,
Present.
Financial Officer Beck,
Present.
Internal Affairs Officer Salau,
Present.
External Affairs Officer Randolph,
Present.
Marketing Communications Officer Woods,
Present.
Organization Relations Officer Mormon. Student Diversity Officer Gorin,
Present.
Election Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Your turn, Izzy.
All right, moving on to line item 3, we have guest speakers. We have one guest speaker joining us, Dr. Denise Cobb, the Provost and Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs. You have 10 minutes to speak. If time runs short, I will entertain a motion for extension by 2 minutes, but the Senate is not required to respond. I will start a timer, which will begin when you start speaking. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate the invitation. I will try to cover things quickly here so that we can stay on time. So President Odell asked me to talk a little bit about what a provost is. Some of you may know, but it may be a little bit of a mystery for some of you. So I'm happy to talk about that briefly. So my title is Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and you're probably accustomed to working with Vice Chancellor Waple, the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. The Provost is the Chief Academic Officer. So my job is to support our academic programs, to make sure that we have high quality offerings for students, to make sure that we're supporting student success, closing equity gaps, and that the budget reflects our academic priorities, and that we're engaged in academic planning. So I work closely with the deans and all of the faculty in supporting the work that they do and imagining all that they can do to support student success and help you on your path to graduation and fantastic learning opportunities along the way. The other part of my title is really that it's not just about academic programs, it's about other services that support our academic mission as a whole. So I also support the work of our enrollment management group, which is where admissions, the registrar, general advising, financial aid, all of those units exist there, and I'm leaving out some international affairs, institutional research and studies, and information technology services. So, so it's a fairly large portfolio, but a great opportunity to help support the university's academic mission. And while I miss being in the classroom and getting to work directly with students, I love the opportunity to be able to support faculty and staff in doing all the things that help our students be successful. So that is a quick rundown of what the Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs does at SIUE. You could go to another university and the Provost does something different. So I don't, but the Chief Academic Officer part is pretty common. So I wanted to talk briefly about the university's quality initiative as well. I just wanted to give you an overview of some things. So one of the most important things that we do is maintain our institutional accreditation with the Higher Learning Commission. Between year 5 and 9 of our institutional accreditation cycle, we're asked to engage in a significant continuous improvement project. And we basically took our anti-racism task force recommendations and turned that into our quality initiative. 58 of the 78 recommendations of the ARTF are subsumed in that project, and it focuses on specifically closing equity gaps, particularly for Black students. So there are 4 particular goals outlined in that. So providing ongoing diversity and inclusion and equity education, training and resources, enhancing our efforts to recruit and retain Black faculty and staff. Sorry, there are 5. Nurture pathways and promote graduation, and make sure that we're doing what we can to close those equity gaps, both in retention and graduation rates, and develop pipeline programs to support enrollment at SIUE. So when you see the announcement for the Diversity Summit, it will be on March 30th. We'll have updates on our progress on the quality initiative and opportunities for people to think about how they can be involved in that work. I know, given all the efforts we put into the anti-racism task force, to see that work carry out over the next 3 years and to see significant progress is really critical for all of us. Additionally, this year, we do a continuous improvement conference for faculty every year. And this year we'll work on, focus on speakers who will help support inclusive pedagogy. So help faculty think about how to make sure their classes are truly inclusive, and work on open educational resources, which are critical to closing equity gaps and keeping costs down. I'm going to talk a little bit about Spring 22. I know many of you have questions. When we built the Spring 22 schedule, we had about 73% of our course sections were scheduled for on-ground or hybrid or blended. That excludes non-traditional courses such as thesis hours or independent studies, internships, those kinds of things. When we created the schedule back in, I think we finalized it in August of 21, we had imagined that we wanted to create as many diverse options as we could for students, and learn from the work that we'd done, and use the survey data from students that indicated where they wanted to see some online options. So when we had lots of sections of a course, we tried to create some online sections and some diversity in options. And then within majors, we tried to, whenever possible. That is not always the case though. So some of the questions I've gotten related to spring are from students are, why can't we choose to stay online even if our class is on ground? And I'd love to be able to say yes to that. I just can't. So we've asked faculty to return to the originally scheduled modality. And let's say it's a non-ground modality or a hybrid blended. When they designed that course, they designed the activities, the course modules and the materials and the assessments around at least keeping the modality in mind, to then run a parallel version of that without planning for it, or without not every class has the technology to support a high flex learning environment, could be really challenging at best. So we've also asked faculty to make sure that students who have to quarantine or isolate, to help them stay caught up with course materials. And so we want to make sure they're able to do that. So I'll keep moving here. One of the things we've gotten is some of our classes seem to be full. I want you to know that when we worked on the class schedule, we worked really hard to keep classes so that there is some room to, they're not at 6 feet anymore, but 88% of our on-ground classes are at 80% or less of the pre-COVID capacity. We have 3 classes that have enrollment over 200. The highest enrollment in one of those is 270. It's located in a class that seats about 370 to 374. So it gives you an example of, even in the very largest classes, we've tried to create space where students can spread out to at least some extent. We're still doing testing. That's really important. So I hope you're all participating. We will have more masks available. So we've ordered thousands of level 3 and KN95 masks. Those are being distributed. We have extras in classrooms. So if you happen to arrive and you forgot your mask or forgot a better mask, then there'll be extras in the classroom or nearby. There are cleaning supplies in the classrooms. There are hand sanitizing stations. And we've still worked to de-densify offices, but also made sure that we have people on ground in offices where we think we need those. in Blackboard, you should see resources that IT developed for students to help you. Additionally, we added 3 student success coaches. They're new to our community, and they're ready and available to help you. If you go to Starfish, you can use Starfish to access the student success coaches if you need help there. We'll continue to do the mid-semester feedback reports. Those have been really helpful. So as we get those from you, we will share those with faculty so that we can help make sure that your learning experiences are engaging and supportive. And we've added some study space options. So in particular, the library has opened up more study spaces and more opportunities for students to do their work in that space. And then the last thing, because I think I'm getting close, I think I have like 1 minute or 2 minutes left. We had about 1,800 students complete a survey on textbooks and related to open educational resources. I just want to thank you for that. We've shared those survey responses we have a group on campus working on open educational resources and a group working on improving our utilization of the textbook rental fee so that we can make sure that it's sustainable for the long term and that we have a good budget model in place and good practices in place. So we learned a lot from that. And so I just want to thank you. Anytime that we're doing that kind of work, I want you to know that we're actually going to use it, not just do it and then let it sit. So we've distributed that information to 2 committees and they're working through it as we speak. So I will stop there. And I think that keeps me on time. I'm sorry that was fast, but I was trying to be respectful of the time. I'm happy to answer questions if that's okay. I don't want to disrupt your protocol though.
I will now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Shahan, I move to open the floor for discussion.
Moved by Senator Shahan. Do we have a second?
Senator Francis, I second.
All right, the floor is now open for discussion.
Senator Shahan here again. Thank you so much for coming tonight, Provost Cobb. I just had a question about kind of modality in a different sense. I was curious if you spoke to any students who have been immunocompromised and in the scenario of going to these large class sizes, and if there's been any ways of accommodating their immunocompromised status in that sense.
Yeah, so I've gotten several emails from students directly expressing that concern. I'll admit it's a significant challenge, and I misspoke at a Q&A recently, so I'm going to be careful here today. So I recommended that students reach out to Access, and Access doesn't, an ADA accommodation is often not a request of the faculty member to change modality. So I want to be really careful this time not to point students in that direction. Unfortunately, I think some students have reached out directly to faculty and have gotten sort of temporary help, but as a systematic approach, unfortunately, we're not requiring that faculty members teach in 2 modalities when the course wasn't planned that way. And we're asking them to make sure that students stay caught up who have to quarantine and isolate. And I do worry about when a class isn't designed in 2 modalities, it's very difficult to run it in both ways and for both groups of students to feel fully engaged, fully supported. And so unfortunately, the guidance I've been in the position to give is, you might need to reach out to your advisor and see if there's another section. I know that isn't always the best answer. And I hope that, in most classes, again, I do think that, 88% or at 80% or less, it's actually, I don't have the exact number in my head, but it's like 75% or 70 something percent of our classes are at 60% or less of their pre-COVID capacity. So lots of our classes do have space, but I know that people still worry. We do know that from our historic data on campus, classroom transmission has not been a significant issue that we know of. There have been the transmission that we know of hasn't been classroom oriented. So we're hopeful that this multi-layered approach will continue to yield those same kinds of results. So it's really important that students wear masks. I would encourage you to wear a level 3 mask or a KN95. And again, we have those ordered and we'll make those available. And double mask if at all possible as well. And we're asking others to do that as well. So I know that's not an entirely gratifying response, but I hope it's helpful.
No, it is very helpful. Thank you so much.
Senator Nichols.
Hi, thank you for talking to us tonight. So I have a question regarding professors going back to in person. So if the professor wishes to offer hybrid learning to their students, are you allowing them to do so, or are you putting restrictions on that?
If they want to do hybrid, tell me more about what you mean by hybrid. I just want to make sure we're using the words the same.
So if the professor would like to hold in-person classes, but also provide Zooms for students that are either out with COVID or are immunocompromised, are you guys putting a limit on how long that they can hold classes, like online and in person, or?
I think that we've really tried to leave that up to individual faculty, although what I don't want to do is put pressure on some faculty to do things they aren't doing, right? So some have volunteered to do it in that way. Now, what we've asked of all faculty is that they keep students who are quarantining or isolating caught up. Now, some may not want to do a live Zoom, but maybe they'll provide recorded lectures, or they'll share notes, or they'll get a note taker in class or something of that nature. So how that happens is a little different. I'm certainly, I don't know every instance when a faculty member decides, oh, I'm happy to run this in a high flex way, meaning simultaneously online and on ground with like live Zooms and that sort of thing. It's just not all of our classrooms are set up to do that, to be quite honest, right? And so I certainly wouldn't interfere at that level.
Thank you.
This is Trustee Walters. I had a quick question. For any students that are in the mandatory quarantine after they test positive for COVID, if they're having issues with professors who are not being accommodating, what steps can they take to fix that?
Sure, they can reach out to I think the first step is always to try to communicate with the faculty member. If that doesn't work, then I'd encourage them to reach out to their program director or department chair. I do think whenever we can sort of follow that process, that's best, right, is to reach out to the department chair. Then certainly they could reach out to their dean if that still is unresolved. And then if they still have trouble, if they want to reach out to me or Dr. Tom Jordan in my office, there are instances where sometimes if we intervene, that makes a difference. And again, I think, in most instances, we've had no challenges with that. I think what will be particularly challenging is if several students in a class are out, does the faculty member need to make a larger adjustment in order to kind of be able to keep everybody moving similarly? And so we'll do our best to support people. I think one of the things we've all learned throughout this pandemic is flexibility and resiliency and grace. And so I hope that we can continue those practices. But I think follow those paths. I hope that doesn't sound like, you have to go through several people. It's just sometimes the closer you can stay to the department, the better, right? But then if you just can't get it resolved, then I certainly move beyond that to the dean or to this office.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion.
Senator Shahan, I move to close the floor for discussion.
Moved by Senator Shahan. Do we have a second?
Senator Richards, I second.
The floor is now closed for discussion. Thank you, Dr. Cobb, for coming. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And certainly if you have other questions or you hear of concerns from students, I'd just like to invite you, so President Odell can certainly reach out and set an appointment with me. We've set up monthly meetings. We talked about that today. But certainly if you need to email me directly, you can do so. My job is to help support you. So I don't want you to feel like people are worried or concerned and that you don't have an outlet for resolving things. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here, and thank you for your work.
Vice President Pruitt, I know the floor is closed, but I got a question from the live stream for Provost Cobb.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Why are we not continuing the 6-foot distancing requirement into spring 22? The CDC still recommends it for institutions that aren't fully vaccinated, and we were hovering at around 80%. That came from the YouTube live stream.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So when we planned actually for fall 21 planning, IBHE issued guidance, the Illinois Board of Higher Education, that encouraged institutions to provide distancing in classrooms, physical distancing in classrooms to the extent practicable. That was the language they used. While we were probably one of the few that continued to do 6 feet in the fall. But for spring, we did a lot of the spring planning in late summer, and then had things finalized by, I'd say mid-August or so. I need to probably confirm that timeline, but early in the fall semester, as you know, so that you can see the schedule, so that you can plan. And we used that logic of it to the extent practicable, which was the IBHE guidance. And so they had worked with the Illinois Department of Public Health. It greatly reduces the seats on ground. And because we had not seen a classroom transmission issues, because our campus positivity rate had been low, we went back to regular classroom capacities, but then made sure whenever possible that we added sections so that we could keep them not enrolled at their pre-COVID capacity whenever possible. So, and I think you see that logic reflected in the schedule. So I understand that, many students would like to still be at 6 feet of distance. We planned the schedule pretty far out, and we did follow the IBHE guidance at the time, and then tried to add to that to the extent that we could. So I appreciate the question.
Are there any other questions, Robin, or are we good?
That is it for now, but it does lag quite a bit behind, so hopefully none pop up after we move on. But
do you want me to wait a few minutes, or
if I get any more in, Provost, I'll email them to you, and I'll get the information. I'll get the email from the students so that I can respond to them.
Okay, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Cobb. We
All right,
appreciate
thanks
you
so
answering
much. I
questions.
appreciate it.
All right, moving on to line item 4, approval of minutes from December 6th, 2001. I will entertain a motion for approval.
Senator Richards, I move to approve line item 4, approval of minutes, December 6, 2021.
All right, moved by Senator Richards. Do we have a second?
Senator Gillis.
Sorry.
Senator Francis, I second.
I'm not really sure who I heard, but oh my goodness, sorry. Seconded by Senator Gillis. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Brigo,
Aye.
Senator Blickhan,
Aye.
Senator Burbach,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Byers,
Aye.
Senator Chibuchu,
Aye.
Senator Dummerth,
Aye.
Senator Francis,
Aye.
Senator Ford,
Aye.
Senator Gillis,
Aye.
Senator Holzhauser,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Richards,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
and Senator Nichols.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
All right, moving on to line item 5, Senate reports. I'll hand it back over to the secretary.
Senator Abrigo.
My report's in the packet. I'm also currently working on a flyer that contains mental health resources that are geared towards frontline healthcare workers to distribute to any students that have healthcare majors or that are working in healthcare right now.
Senator Blickhahn.
My report's in the packet. I'm just working on starting a cosmetic dentistry club here on campus.
Senator Burbach.
My report is in the packet. And I did want to add that I do have a meeting with counseling services next week, just about adding some new resources. Yeah.
Senator Burnett.
My report is in the packet.
Senator Byers.
So my report is not in the packet, but as far as what to report with our dental school trying to do a clinic for students at the school, that's been put on hold a little bit because all the D4 students who would be performing the treatment have mock boards here. So that's going to eat up a little bit of time. But I will definitely make sure that we get it set up to where we can make this thing. As far as making myself available, I have been in the clinic lounge for my fellow classmates, and there hasn't been any recommendations or anything like that. And so just moving forward will be once mock boards is over, we can kind of get back to trying to get that clinic set up.
Senator Chipukchu.
My report is not in packet, so in this week, I found a new organization in SIUE, and we try to make a new website and talk with our members. And also, in a long run, I consider about the new survey to new engineering senator, so that we can think this together. Furthermore, I talk with my friends who is in senior in SIUE, so they explain about their concerns, which are mostly about in-person classes and COVID viruses. As you know, many of the classes are too small, and they generally have like average of 100 person in one class. And for all this reason, the ratio of sick people increased tremendously, and like I don't think they will just be said that like in 15%. For our school, but many of people still not getting fully vaccinated, so it affects both not only for students but also for our also professors' health. So that's our and like my friends concern about for like in this semester.
Senator Demuth.
My report is in the packet. Our meeting last week for SOAB got canceled, and Friday I'm looking forward to going to my first ICAC meeting.
Senator Francis.
My report is in the packet. I'm currently just working on trying to brainstorm ideas on how to reach out to the students of the School of Business better this semester.
Senator Ford.
My report is in the packet.
Senator Gillis.
My report is not in the packet, but I have emailed everyone with it in case they would like to look at it. But in summary, I have an upcoming graduate council meeting. Last semester, I served on the graduate committee on assessment. And this semester, I'm switching to the graduate council, so I hope to contribute to their business. And I've been discussing health and safety policies with various students in my classes. And also I'm working to help former Senator Jones, now election commissioner, on his transition to being president of the Joint Engineering Student Council and business associated with that. And finally, I'm trying to schedule a meeting with the dean of the graduate school again to discuss students' concerns and what can be done moving forward.
Senator Holzhauser.
My report is in the packet. I am eager to report back to my constituency after this meeting regarding some information that we are able to obtain for the new COVID-19 policies.
Senator Obert.
My report is in the packet, and I have my first finance board committee meeting this Friday for the beginning of the semester.
Senator Richards?
My report is in the packet, but I did make a meeting today with the person that I'm working with in the advising office to further my pre-advising initiative that I'm working on. So I'm really excited to keep working on that.
Senator Shahan?
My report is in the packet. If you haven't read it already, please do. It kind of addresses a plethora of student concerns that I've received over the last month or so now, including a petition that was sent to me that's been signed by over 1,000 students at this point. Thanks.
And Senator Nichols?
My report is in the packet. I plan to talk with President Odell and Vice President Pruitt because I just came up with a new initiative regarding housing and international students. So I'll be working on that in the coming weeks.
Back to you, Izzy.
Moving on to line item 6, executive reports. I'll hand it back over to the secretary.
President Odell?
My report is in the packet. The only thing that I'd like to add is that I just scheduled a meeting with Julia and Mallory from Housing to have a meeting with them about some housing concerns that we've heard. So I'll update you guys at the next meeting.
Vice President Pruitt?
My report is also in the packet. I do want to add that hopefully we'll have 3 new senators by the next meeting. I'm also meeting with counseling with Senator Burbach, and also that I'm planning on doing a COVID-19 survey to send out to the senators, to send out to different constituents for the different schools.
Student Trustee Walters?
My report is in the packet, and the next Board of Trustees meeting is going to be Thursday, February 10th, and it will be live streamed on YouTube for you all to watch.
Financial Officer Beck?
My report is in the packet. The only thing I do have to add is that I've been able to meet with some of these students who who received funds last year for their organizations to do the finalization for their evaluations, and they've went really well so far.
Internal Affairs Officer Salau?
My report is in the packet. If you haven't read it, please do. It's just about some events that I attended over the past couple of weeks and some housing student concerns that were addressed when I spoke with the Director of Housing with some other students. Also, I'd like to add that I'm very excited to see all the different things we get to achieve this semester.
External Affairs Officer Randolph?
Our report is in the packet. One thing I do need to add is that I will do a meet and greet for all the senators and for students to have an opportunity to learn about student government, maybe join some committees. It'll be February 8th and 10th in the Goshen Lounge from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Marketing and Communications Officer Woods?
My report is in the packet. The only thing I need to add is that the giveaways I was planning to give out during the month of February will be pushed back to March due to other things I'm focusing on.
Student Diversity Officer Gorin?
My report is not in the packet, so I do have a little bit of things to add on here. I attended the virtual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration on January 19th. I just wanted to give a little shout out to President Odell for her contributions to that event. During my office hours, I've been emailing with the board members of the Student Diversity Council. We have a meeting coming up this Friday. I will be virtual meeting on Zoom. I have continued to follow up with my initiative of the SIU Your Story Instagram account. I encourage you all to look at that if you have not already, as well as adding new resources to the link tree in the bio of that page. I also contacted Lindy Wagner about the virtual affinity spaces that the hub is supposed to be working on programming for that this semester, and they're getting going with that early on here. I think they're meeting about that this week, and she will get back to me with more information on that. And then I also wanted to encourage you guys to register and attend for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award ceremony, which will be this Friday at 4 p.m. on Zoom. I will be speaking at this event as well, and it would be a great way to honor those nominees, previous winners, and then the winners of this year's award. So thank you.
Election Commissioner Jones?
My report is in the packet. I'm on schedule for the election cycle for next year. I attended a couple committee meetings last week on Friday, and those will be in my report next time.
Fee review, Commissioner Gillis.
As I stated, my report's not in the packet. I haven't covered anything in terms of fee review, other than I am seeking members to join the my fee review committee. So if you're interested in fees and you're interested in committees, hop on board.
Back to you, Izzy.
Moving on to line item 7, additions to agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to line item 8, old business. Seeing none, we will move on to line item 9, new business. Starting with section 1, petitioning organization, subsection A, College Diabetes Network at SIUE, I will now hand it over to Office Support Specialist Firmer, who is speaking for Organization Relations Officer Mormon.
Thank you, Vice President Pruitt. At the last SOAB meeting, which took place in December, we had one organization come forward, the College Diabetes Network of SIUE. It is a nationwide organization, and they're trying to open a chapter here on campus. This is their, I can't remember what it's called, but like their mission statement kind of. Our chapter of the College Diabetes Network was founded for the purpose of connecting college students with and affected by type 1 diabetes, in the hopes that these connections will create a support network which will enable students to fulfill their potential and limit the negative psychological and physical effects of diabetes. This was there was 2 or 3 members came to the meeting. They answered a lot of good questions from the SOAB, and the SOAB did pass it to bring it to Senate for a vote of approval without any reservations.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Senator Shahan, I move to approve line item 9, new business, subsection 1, petitioning organization, subsection A, College Diabetes Network of SIUE.
Moved by Senator Shahan. Do we have a second?
Senator Francis, I second.
Seconded by Senator Francis. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Abrigo.
Aye.
Senator Blighan.
Aye.
Senator Burbach.
Aye.
Senator Burnett.
Aye.
Senator Byers.
Aye.
Senator Chibukcha.
Aye.
Senator Dummerth.
Aye.
Senator Francis.
Aye.
Senator Ford.
Aye.
Senator Gillis.
Aye.
Senator Holzhauser.
Aye.
Senator Obert.
Aye.
Senator Richards.
Aye.
Senator Shahan.
Aye.
And Senator Nichols.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
Congratulations to that organization. Moving on to section 2, Q&A with Chancellor Pembroke. I will now hand it over to Chancellor Pembroke.
Thank you, Vice President Pruitt. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to underscore Senator Gorin in that your president, Haley O'Dell, did an amazing job as MC for the MLK event. So thank you for that. She did a wonderful job, and I hope many of you were able to participate in that. As I thought about just briefly what I wanted to say tonight before taking questions, we are almost to February of 2022, and that will be 24 months of dealing with COVID in one way or another. And so I want to just start by saying that that's an amazing thing, that you guys have been involved with that long, that you have been compliant as it relates to masking and hand washing and testing and vaccinations, social distancing. It's an amazing thing to me. And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but Jerry Cruz, who's the dean of the med school, did a safety study of the various public higher ed institutions. And the SIU system, the Carbondale and the Edwardsville campuses, were the safest lowest positivity rates of public higher education in Illinois. So I just want to say congratulations to all of you. That couldn't happen if you weren't really thinking of the things and complying. So congratulations. As it relates to testing this semester, the week of January 3rd, when we came back, we were all concerned about COVID, as we still are. That first week, the testing positivity rate was about 15%. The next week, it went down to 14%. This past week, as we came back and were largely on ground, it went to 7%. And by the end of the week, the results that we're getting from Friday, it was down to 5%. So that's good news. We were expecting that, but you don't always know for sure. The state of Illinois, the peak of the Omicron positivity rate was during the week of January 8th. And there's something called half-life, meaning it drops by half in a 13-day period. So we're already to halfway back down on the backside of the overall Omicron positivity rate. So knock on wood, things are going the right direction. We hope that we'll get down below 5% and that the rate will continue to drop. When we see that happen, we'll move from what we've been doing with testing for everyone. And again, thank you for being willing to do that. When we get down to below 5%, I think we'll go back to the testing model that we used in the fall, which is only those that are not vaccinated would be the ones testing. So thank you. As Provost Cobb said, we have about 13,000 masks that we're distributing to students in one form or another in classrooms, in the MUC at the info center, to various departments, student fitness center, et cetera. So if you have any concerns about that, if you've had trouble getting a mask, level 3 surgical and KN95s are out there, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. This week, today, is the beginning for almost all of the Illinois public higher education institutions to be on ground. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, or University of Illinois Chicago, Illinois State, the Southern System, practically everybody's on ground now. I also want to say that I realize that the last 2 or 3 weeks have been incredibly stressful. There are some that want to be on ground. There's some that want to be online. Everybody is trying to do the thing that makes the most sense. So thank you for grace. It's a word that we've used a lot in the last 2 years, so I appreciate that. Just 2 or 3 questions that I got beforehand that I want to respond to. There's a question about, is everybody testing, or what happens if you don't test? There are about 9,000 individuals that are on ground for the fall. If you take the number of people that have tested, like last week, between 6,000 and 7,000, plus the over 1,100 that are reporting that they have had COVID in the last 90 days, and then the people that have various accommodations for that, it's just an amazing number. As Provost Cobb said, over 80% of the people, our students, have been vaccinated, so thank you for that. Also, I got a question about, is there a way to try to cut down on the time it takes to test? Because that's a concern. Guys, do I have to come and wait for 2 or 3 hours? If you make an appointment and you go at your appointment time, we're averaging about 5 to 10 minutes total time to get through the testing process. Of course, that depends a little bit on how fast or how slowly you salivate. That's a little different for everybody. So if you're what I call a quick spitter, you'll be in and out in 5 minutes. So that's good. The other question that I heard a lot about was, do we have to choose between safety versus education? I'll say again, something that you heard Provost Cobb say, the amount of class transmission is practically non-existent. So I'm not saying that COVID isn't out there. but we do tracing, we follow up, and the amount of transmission that's occurring on campus, particularly in classrooms, is incredibly low. And there are many, many institutions that have been K-12 and higher ed that have been in class on ground since January 3rd. And we're just not seeing classes as super spreader events. So thank you. Last thing I'll say is masks are incredibly important. So hope you'll wear those, hope you'll wear them correctly. I hope you'll get the surgicals and the KN95s. And with that, I'll pause. There are a couple of other things, Vice President Pruitt, that if we can come back to, if I have 2 minutes at the end, that would be great. But I know people probably want to ask me questions about COVID. So I am certainly open to that.
Sorry. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just start speaking. But if you have anything else to say, Dr. Pembroke, feel free to speak as well.
Hi, Chancellor Pembroke. Thank you so much for coming. I was just wondering, I know you had said that once the positivity rate drops below 5%, you plan to go back to our fall semester testing plan. I was just wondering, for those vaccinated individuals, are you planning to require a booster shot? Like, I just didn't know what you were thinking about doing in regards to that, because technically after 6 months or so, it's like expired. So I didn't know what the plan was with that, or if you had one yet.
Thank you, Senator Richards. That's an excellent question. We have been trying to follow CDC guidance from the beginning of this. And so I will tell you that some institutions have defined fully vaccinated as 2 shots and a booster and 2 weeks. We have not done that. We are still with the 2 shots. Now, I will tell you, we had at the last Q&A that we did with the entire campus, we had Jerry Cruz, the dean for the med school, and he said it is really, really important to have 3 events. And I think that's the word he used, events. And what he meant when he said that is 3 things. So if you've had the first and the second shot, that's 2. And then he said to be really safe, to be protected from the Omicron, you need a 3rd. So what's the 3rd? It can be the booster, which is probably the thing that I hope everybody does. Or the 3rd thing can be you actually get, you're positive, you test positive for Omicron. If you've had those 3 things, you are much more protected than if you've just had 2. So while we are not requiring the booster at this point, we're not requiring the first 2. I mean, we're leaving that a choice. But I would strongly, strongly encourage you, if you have a chance, and we're trying to do booster sessions here on campus, encourage your friends, get it, encourage your friends. You're just in a much safer position if you've had 3 things than if you've had 2.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I was just wondering, with the whole booster, I know as of right now, it is like you guys are providing the booster shot on campus along with first and second dose. I was wondering if in the 6 months, if it is still considered expired, I guess, if you will continue to provide booster shots along with that for every 6 months.
So I think we'll try to do booster sessions on campus just as often as we can. Rhianne Greenwald has done an incredible job in the last 2 years. And if you see her, you should tell her thanks, because she has the safety of campus uppermost on her mind. So yes, I think we will do that. I want to go back, and this is me, knock on wood, optimistic, rose-colored glasses. So you think about what I was saying about the 13 days, that the positivity levels are expected to drop by half every 13 days. To me, if you do the math on that, I'm really hoping that our numbers will be very, very, very low by the time we get to midterm, spring break. I'm not saying don't get it. I'm just saying that the concern and all of the conversation about the importance of the booster in December and in January and in February, really, I hope 2 years. 2 years is long enough. 2 years is too long for all of this, right? So we will see where we are in April and May. But as long as people want it, and as long as the science is telling us that it's important to protect us from whatever variant is out there, we will continue to do that.
All right, thank you so much.
Senator Shahan, I just had a quick question about the updating of all of the guidelines on the current SIUE COVID website dashboard, all of that information. I've had a lot of student concerns about the inaccessibility of it and just overall not being able to really find information when they need it. Is there any way of combating that or sending out additional information to students on like the main concerns that they have in order for them to fully understand kind of what's going on and what's changed since last semester?
Thank you for that question. I really appreciate that. I will tell you that in the first week of March of 2020, the leadership team met twice a day, every day, 7 days a week. Since then, as things have come and gone, we have met 2-3 times a week. And so one of the things that we talk about on those Monday, Wednesday, Friday meetings is what is the information that maybe doesn't seem to be getting out to campus, that people have a hard time finding, et cetera. And Megan Weiser is on that call, and she's kind of the chief communications person. So what I would say is if you would like to, on behalf of student government, if you want to say these are the 8 things that are hardest for us to find, or could we get a message, a Friday message that specifically deals with X? If you would send that to me, I can guarantee you 100%, I will guarantee that this Friday messaging, we will address that, and we'll either have it as a specific thing, or we will say, here's a link and it's on page 2, halfway down the page, or whatever we need to do to try to make that clear. Because I get it, you know, when you read through all of those documents, it gets kind of difficult sometimes to interpret. So if you help us a little bit and tell us the things that you hope to have more information on, we will take care of that as early as this Friday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chancellor Pembroke. Internet Affairs Officer Salal speaking. I'd like to know your opinion on allowing some professors who don't feel comfortable having classes in person. So for professors who may be immunocompromised or who don't feel comfortable even coming to school and teaching a group of people, how does administration feel about letting them have their classes online?
So there has been a process from the beginning that we have realized that certain professors, certain staff, certain students are in compromised positions, immunocompromised positions. Sometimes it's a personal thing. Sometimes it's that they have a child. Sometimes it's they're living with someone. And so we developed a process very early on that if the person said, this is my particular situation, there is a way to deal with that. And I think that's part of grace in terms of trying to create some flexibility for particular situations. So I think if you know of individuals who have that situation, you might just underscore with them that there are ways, talking to their chairs, talking to HR, talking to Jamie Ball, there are ways to deal with that, and I would encourage them to do that. One of the things that we've tried to do in bringing people back is to encourage faculty who are not in that situation to go ahead and return to on-ground methods of teaching. We think it's relatively safe for the reasons that I said before. So if people are compromised, there is a path. If not, then we hope that we'll work through the processes that we have and the rules that we have to create safe environments for teaching on ground.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Senator Holzhauser, I have a couple of questions. Again, thank you so much for coming out. One, going back to your comment on returning to the fall modality of COVID testing once we get around the 5% range and lower than that, how long do you anticipate we need to stay below that number before we transition back to that old testing method?
I think two things. When we get to that number, and as I said, the number from last Friday was at 5%. So as soon as we get data this week for Monday and Tuesday, it runs about 24 hours behind. So I would think by Wednesday, probably the Wednesday morning meeting, we'll start to have an idea of what that number is. And then we can pivot just as quickly as everybody can do that. So theoretically, if on Wednesday, if the numbers are right and everybody is willing to, let's go, let's do it, let's make the change, then we could be talking about as early as the week of the 31st. If people are, oh, that seems too fast, and we've already done some planning and we've already announced the testing process and the testing site, et cetera, I would think that there'd be a really good chance that the week after that, the first full week of February, that we could be in that modality, knock on wood, if we don't see any kind of resurgence. And so one of the things that has been very consistent every semester since March of 2020 is that we start at a certain point, which is higher than normal, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks, it just starts to drop off, and then we get down to a low number, and it just stays there the whole semester because people follow the appropriate safety protocols. So if you're asking me to guess, maybe next week, probably the week after that.
Thank you.
That's a guess. Don't quote me, okay? That's a guess.
Absolutely. I do have another question too. So assuming we do go back to that modality we had in the fall, if students are wanting to get a COVID test, is that going to go back to how it was in the fall, where you do need to have symptoms to have a COVID test, especially considering now a lot of people who are getting the Omicron variant are asymptomatic?
Yes. So I think almost everybody, speaking myself included, at some point in the last month was like, I wonder if I'm COVID positive. And so one of the things that we have done is to try to open up that shield testing so that because we are here, because we are on ground, because that's available, even if you were vaccinated and you're asymptomatic, but gosh, I heard that my uncle has COVID and we were at this thing together 2 weeks ago, whatever. I would encourage people to sign up and to get tested. It's one of the things we're trying to do is to provide that service so that people can know rather than be wandering around. I can't get a test. I can't get anything at CVS or Walgreens. Do it, get a test.
All right, thank you so much.
I have another question. I'm unsure if you're aware of the petition that's been signed by over 1,200 students. But so seeing that number, I'm guessing over 1,000 students still feel unsafe about being back in person. So I know you've given us the statistics of how we are relatively safer given that the positivity rate is reducing, but how would you push that information out to students to help them feel safer and feel more comfortable coming to school since they have to?
So can I ask you that question? I mean, as a student, I think you understand the student perspective. As I've said, the data seem to indicate that for sure that classrooms are a safe environment relating to transmission. Our campus has been one of the safest places in Illinois for the last 2 years. And yet I understand people are like, oh, this is scary. So we're trying to make sure that people have masks so that they can say, okay, I have the safest, I have the best masks that are out there. But we have cut down on the number of people at certain events to try to make it feel safer outside the classroom, if there are clubs, organizations. Beyond that, I'm happy to listen. If there's some things that you think, if we could push information out, if we could do certain things, please, I'm happy to respond.
Okay, thank you. I can speak on my personal opinion is that I feel safe coming to school and walking around in places, but I have at least 3 friends who have tested positive within the past 2 weeks. So, and from their perspective, they don't feel safe walking to a class of about 200 students. So it's not even about being walking about in school. So it's about the classrooms, walking to the muck and seeing so many people. So that's where the safety concerns come for students like me.
So Dr. Pembroke, I'm going to jump in for a sec.
Okay, go ahead.
And I think Haley and I have had this conversation. So here's I'm going to push back just a little bit. If your friends and students who are concerned are sitting in their residence wherever they live and not going anywhere, not going out to eat, not going to the grocery store, not going to the bar, not meeting with other people, okay, I understand it. But if they're doing all those things and they're worried about class, I have a hard time understanding that. Does that make sense? Because as Dr. Pembroke said and the provost said, we have safety measures on this campus that have kept people safe, that's kept the rate low. And so that's my pushback on anyone who says class is unsafe, even though we've said we've had 0 transmission or little transmission in classroom. We've had little transmission from events on campus. It's all happened off campus. So if you're all living in the hole and not going anywhere, okay. But if you're still going out and doing things and being social, then I have a hard time understanding where this I feel unsafe coming to campus comes from. That's my opinion.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I think I will make that the last question just due to timing, but we really appreciate you coming out, Chancellor Pembroke, and I'm sure that answered a lot of questions that people had. So we really appreciate you coming out.
Vice President Pruitt, can I take 2 minutes and just I'll just tell you what the issues are, and then you can talk and figure out some way. And if you want me to come back, I'd be happy to do that. Is it okay if I tell you 2 things?
Yes, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one is the Board of Trustees is going to hear information, not specific proposals, but information in February relating to tuition and fees for 22-23. And one of the things that I think will be interesting is the concept of textbook services and how we support textbook services and the kind of adjustments that we will need if we're going to continue to do textbook services in the way that we have. So it may be that you guys have talked a lot about that, but I just wanted to let you know that between February and April, there will be a period where the information, I think, will be back to our campus to really talk about what we want to do and what we see as the future for textbook services, whether we want to keep doing it and having it included in the fees, or whether we decide, no, everybody wants to kind of figure out how to do that on their own with an independent vendor. So that's the first thing, and I don't want to take too much time tonight, so I'll just, if you want me to come back and talk about that, that's great. The second thing I will say is that I know there is a lot of question about, can things be online? Can things be on ground? I just want to say that as administrators, we want to be as responsive as possible to students. So what I'm talking about now is actually a post-COVID concept. The more that you let us know that, wow, it would be really great if we had more sections of this particular course online, if you let us know that that's the format that you really like for that class, we will try to create more sections online for that. if you say, no, that course has to be on ground, it just doesn't make good sense for choir to be online, then we will do that on ground. So I just want to underscore that you have a voice, you have a really important voice, particularly post-COVID, that in how do we do on ground, how do we do online, your voice will tell us how we do that in the future. So again, happy to come back with the provost and talk more about how we converse on that topic, but I want you to feel empowered that that is the future, and we will try to be responsive in the ways that you think that makes sense for you. Okay?
Thank you, Chancellor Pembroke.
Thank you.
All right, so I will move on to the next section. So moving on to line item 10, presidential and personnel appointments. We will vote on these individually. So I'll start on each of them individually, and then I'll have Dr. Waple swear them in at the end. So I'll start out with the first senator. So that's section A, Graduate Senator Olufunke. I hope I said that right. If not, I apologize. She was amazing, and I really appreciated all the initiatives that she had. She originally actually interviewed for Senator at Large, but then I saw that she had great things that she was planning on doing for graduate students, and I thought she would be a great graduate senator. So yeah, I will start with her. If there are no questions, I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Senator Shahan, I move to approve line item 10, presidential personnel appointments, subsection A, graduate senator. Could you please say your name out loud? I don't want to say it wrong. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. It's Olufunke.
Sorry, I think the Zoom froze for me. Did you get that, Hannah?
No, it froze for me as well. I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, Olufunke.
Olufunke.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Senator Shahan. Moved by Senator Shahan. Do we have a second?
Senator Francis, I second.
All right, we will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Abrigo.
Aye.
Senator Blickhan.
Aye.
Senator Burbach.
Aye.
Senator Burnett.
Aye.
Senator Byers.
Aye.
Senator Chibukchu.
Aye.
Senator Dummerth.
Aye.
Senator Francis.
Aye.
Senator Ford.
Aye.
Senator Gillis.
Aye.
Senator Holzhauser.
Aye.
Senator Obert.
Aye.
Senator Richards.
Aye.
Senator Shahan.
Aye.
Senator Nichols.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
Congratulations, Olufunke. All right, so we will move on to section B. So that's freshman senator. So that's Elena. She had a really big involvement in high school. She also knew the current freshman senator, and they seemed to work well together. And I really liked her resume, and she seemed to have a big passion for helping students out and things like that. So that's why I chose Elena. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Senator Richards, I move to approve line item 10, presidential and personnel appointments, subsection B, freshman senator Alana Meyer.
Moved by Senator Richards. Do we have a second?
Senator Shahan, second.
Seconded by Senator Shahan. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Abrigo.
Aye.
Senator Blickhan.
Aye.
Senator Burbach.
Aye.
Senator Burnett.
Aye.
Senator Byers.
Aye.
Senator Chibukchu.
Aye.
Senator Dummerth. Aye. Senator Francis,
Aye.
Senator Ford,
Aye.
Senator Gillis,
Aye.
Senator Holzhauser,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Richards,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
and Senator Nichols.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
All right, congratulations. I'll move on to the last senator, which is the engineering senator, Ugo. He also had a great resume and had a big passion for involvement. He's a sophomore, so he, in his 2 years already, was super involved in a lot of things. And he had a great interview, and that's why I picked him. So I will now entertain a motion for approval, assuming we have no questions.
Senator Gillis, I move to approve line item 10, presidential and personnel appointments, subsection C, engineering senator.
Moved by Senator Gillis. Do we have a second?
Senator Shahan, second.
Seconded by Senator Shahan. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Abrigo,
Aye.
Senator Blicon,
Aye.
Senator Burbach,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Byers,
Aye.
Senator Chibukchu,
Aye.
Senator Demuth,
Aye.
Senator Francis,
Aye.
Senator Ford,
Aye.
Senator Gillis,
Aye.
Senator Holzhauser,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Richards,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
and Senator Nichols.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
Congratulations to all the new senators. I will now hand it over to Dr. Waple to swear in the new senators.
Well, thank you, Vice President Pruitt, and thank you for the reminder that I was doing this, and I just printed it off. So I know people were scrambling, making sure I had the oath. So for the 3 new senators, you're going to repeat after me. I know this is a challenge on Zoom as some things are delayed, so don't worry, we'll get through it. I'll go slowly. So the first part is I, and state your name. You have to talk out loud.
I, Elena Meyer,
Okay.
Actually, you're going to say this all together, so I'm sorry, I didn't say that. All right. Solemnly promise
solemnly promise
I'm like a second behind. I thought we were saying it separately. Sorry.
Go ahead. All right. I said it's a challenge. It's okay. To perform my duties and responsibilities
to perform my
duties and responsibilities
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
while preserving the mission while preserving the mission
while preserving the mission
and values of the university.
and
values of the university.
I also vow
I also vow
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the
Constitution
and bylaws
and
bylaws
of SIUE student government
of SIU
student government
while striving for the betterment
while striving for the betterment
of the university
of the university
for all students, faculty, and staff.
for all students,
faculty, and staff.
Congratulations. Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. For the 3 new senators, you can change your screen name to senator and your last name if you guys would like. So, and yeah, I will now move on to line item 11, open forum, office support specialist Irma. Are there any questions from the YouTube live stream?
No, we had just that one question for Provost Cobb, and then we haven't had any more.
All right, seeing none, we will move on to line item 12, announcements. Anyone with an announcement may speak now.
So I'm going to go first. Actually, I could have gone in the prior section. So in the chat, I know folks were asking about where can we find information. So I put in the chat the link to our coronavirus website. We send out a message every Friday to campus updating people. I know we've run into this issue. People don't read for comprehension. There's a lot on this website. All our announcements, the dashboard where you can find a vaccine, everything that we've done since March of 20. Wow, since March of 20, all the way to last Friday. So if folks that students are asking you questions or unsure where to go, send them to this site. There are 6 tabs at the top that folks can look at. The first tab is the campus updates and status. The last tab is the dashboard. The dashboard, as we've been talking about, is up to date as of Saturday. And we'll update it probably tomorrow as we're getting the testing back from Monday. But the rates are dropping. The amount of student cases are dropping, the amount of faculty cases are dropping, the amount of quarantine isolation space, it's all dropping. And you can look at that at your earliest convenience. So I just wanted to make you aware that that is out there. And as I said to President Odell, if there's ever any question and you're not sure, you can send it to me as well. I'm on that core committee. I've been the chair of the pandemic planning team since March of 20, so I'm pretty up to date on everything that's going on. And so if you're running into COVID questions that are non-academic, the classroom piece has got to go to the provost because her and her office manages those. But testing and the rest, that I can answer those. And I think Dr. Pembroke's correct. I'm hoping that as early as next week, but for sure, probably the week of the 7th, the event restrictions and all those things will start to reduce as long as the numbers stay where we hope they'll be. They could always shoot up, but who knows? But I'll tell you this as well, and I said this to Senator Odell, or President Odell, sorry, and Liz. So whenever we come back, whenever a university comes back to on-ground classes, we're going to have a spike. And we saw it 2 weeks ago. We saw it last January. We saw it in August. Actually, in August, and you can go back and look, we had an 8% positivity rate and no one really blinked. We're at 6, almost 5% now, and people are like, what's going on? I understand the Omicron is a lot easily more transmittable than the other pieces. We also have a vaccine in place, and we know, and some people know this, I'll tell you, I'm fully vaccinated with a booster and I got it. Don't know how, I got it. Was down for a couple of days and was back to work. So we understand it's transmittable. There's about 1,600 people who've tested positive who now have a 90-day exemption from testing. So they'll come off that list. And hopefully as we get into spring, we'll be back to some of the activities we had in the fall. We're still gonna, the mask mandate's gonna be in place, I would imagine, for the remainder of the semester, which it should be. So wanted to let you know that. I'm done.
All right, I have a couple of announcements as well. First of all, welcome to our new senators. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, my name is Liz and I am the advisor for student government. So I look forward to working with you all. To everyone, excited to have you all back and ready to go for this spring semester. Can't wait to see all of you all in person, hopefully sooner rather than later. Just a couple of announcements about upcoming events. Again, also wanted to highlight the Martin Luther King event this Friday, the 28th, that Diversity Officer Gorin mentioned. If you're interested in attending, please RSVP for that. Additionally, Black History and Heritage Month kicks off on February 1st. The Hub will be hosting a virtual opening event on Zoom, and you can register online for that. It's February 1st, starting at 4 p.m. This Wednesday is our first leader. Sorry, my battery is dying in my fire alarm, and it's perfect timing. My first leadership lunch of the semester is January 26th at noon. via Zoom. If you all haven't signed up for it yet, there's still time. And that'll be Dr. Timothy Lewis, who will be talking about the moderate American, the moderate anti-racist, moderate anti-racist American, the hope of the American racist. You can register for that on Get Involved. It's a very dynamic conversation, and I will actually be attending as well. So hope to see you all there. Some information to pass on to your constituents is that the Cougar Cupboard has expanded its hours this semester, including hours on Saturday as well. So I'll be sending those out via listserv, so you can send that resource out to your constituents who may need it. And then lastly, CAB has pre-sale tickets for the prom and the Jays game. Both of those events have been postponed and will be rescheduled. So when that information is out, I will let you all know. Again, glad to have you all back, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.
And also to add on to what Liz said about the leadership lunch, just a reminder for senators that if you do attend this on Wednesday, it does count towards an office hour. It'll just be a 1 hour lunch, but you can count that towards your office hours. Vice President Pruitt and I agreed on that. So hope to see you guys there. I'll be there too.
Thank you. I'd also like to add that for the new senators, we have a bonding event this Thursday at 6 p.m. So please reach out to me and let me know if you'd be able to attend that.
Does anyone else have an announcement? All right, moving on to line item 13, adjournment. I will now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Senator Shahan, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Moved by Senator Shahan, I adjourn this meeting at 7:21 p.m.